Hello everybody, it's Precious Pioneer and welcome back to my YouTube channel, the channel where we talk about all kinds of different things related to creativity or culinary or positivity or personal development. I kind of am still figuring out my niche, but it's basically anything and everything that I kind of do and am passionate about. And so I hope that you enjoy my videos, I suppose. But today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to become a writer. So first off, I honestly think that writers write, and I don't think it's as complex as people make it out to be. I don't think it's just this overwhelming mountain of like, oh my gosh, how do I become a writer? I think it's as simple as writing. We write every single day, whether that's tweeting or sending an email or all these different things. But I think the key difference of being a professional writer and a novice writer is the amount of work, time, and effort that you're putting in. I think that writers write as in they write every day. And then you qualify as a writer. If you want to be a professional writer, you write and you learn and you grow and you move towards that. But I want to give you some tips on how to become a writer, how to get paid a little bit of money for some of the writing that you're doing as a beginner, and then you can grow into publishing your own books or whatever it is that you have in your end goals or in the future. The first tip to be a better writer is to be a better reader. I think that you can pull so much inspiration from reading and learning and reading what other writers are writing about. I think that you can kind of look at their story structure and their storytelling and their ideas, constant plethora of different ideas, and that can inspire your thoughts and creativity as you sit down to write. I know that some of my favorite books that I have read this year are one by Oprah Winfrey. I reread this and it's What I Know for Sure, and it's a whole bunch of different concepts and ideas about what it is to live a joyful and ambitious life and kind of her life lessons. And I don't know, reading it has got me a little bit more pensive, and it kind of bleeds into a lot of my daily writing. I have different books that I've been reading this year, but if you're interested, let me know. I can make another video about that. But that just goes to say that you can read and pull different ideas, and it can kind of influence and inspire you to write something worthwhile and creative in your own form or style or with your own perspective, and that can be uniquely yours. The next tip is to start a blog. I know that sometimes starting a blog can actually be a little bit pricey because of your website domain or renting out space or all these different things. I recommend if you want to start a blog and you want to make a little bit of money for some of the writing that you create, I would open up a Medium account. I have one. I'll leave it linked up here or down below so you guys could check it out. But having a Medium account is an easy way to write on your iPad, your iPhone, your computer, or wherever you are, to write a blog post. They give you great graphics or to plug in videos. It's very user-friendly. It's very easy to navigate just to jot down your ideas or your creative stories. And it also has a wonderful community, so other writers and other people who are reading articles without ads can read your work and comment and interact with it, and you can share it on all of your social media platforms. And if you get enough reads and views, then you can actually be a part of their Medium membership program and get paid for some of your work. And so that's what I've been doing over the past year. I was a consistent writer for a few months, and then I kind of took a break as I transitioned into this new country. But I started writing again, and for some of my articles, I get paid a few cents. I mean, it's not like crazy money, but the more that you write, obviously, the more money that you get. So I definitely recommend starting a blog if you're interested in writing at all, just to practice, just to get reps in, just to get feedback. It's one of the really good mediums out there. They also have a podcast feature, so you can even narrate some of your pieces of work, and it can be like an audio format for people who either have a disability and aren't able to read your articles, or it can be shown on another platform like on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify if you're interested in something like that. My next tip is to keep a journal. I cannot praise this enough. I definitely have a video of why you should keep a journal, but I honestly think as a writer, finding your voice can be one of the most challenging things, because as you're reading and consuming all these different content, you're kind of mirroring what other people are doing subconsciously, and it's really hard to find your own voice and what your actual thoughts and where it actually stems from when you are consuming a lot of different things. But keeping a journal is the perfect way to find your own voice and see how that grows and changes over time. I think it's this beautiful time capsule that you can look back at 5-10 years later, and you're like, wow, I was thinking this or worried about this or writing this in this style during this period in my life, and and then you can kind of look back and see how much you've grown and how your storytelling has changed or evolved or has grown into something different. Like a few years ago, I was really into poetry and very abstract play on words and metaphors and similes, and I feel like now my style is a little bit more direct. It still has that sort of artsy influence, but it's a little bit more direct into my storytelling style. And so whatever it is for you, I definitely recommend journaling because you can document how that changes for you, and that can be one of the best assets as a writer, a way to measure your growth and your strengths, your weaknesses, what you need to work on, and so forth. So keep a journal. The next tip is to talk to more people, have conversations. That may sound kind of weird, especially since we're talking about writing, but that talking to people and connecting with people is the best way to figure out the storytelling that draws out and evokes emotion. I feel like it also gives you really good insight and perspective into what people feel or what triggers other people. And I find that sometimes writing about things that other people can relate to or draw an emotion are some of the most impactful stories that us writers can create. I think that when someone reads my work and can really resonate with it or wants to share because they're so inspired by what I've written, because they too can experience or have experienced something that I shared through my story, is one of the most like warm feelings. And I think that you're only going to get that really good intuition and insight into what's happening in the world, whether you're writing current daily news or love interests or personal stories or documentaries or research, whatever it is that interests you. You're only going to get that kind of deep nitty-gritty insight by talking to as many people as you can, whether in your network or people outside your network. That way you can get an overall grasp of what people are thinking when you talk about some of your ideas, or you can just use them as a soundboard and bounce off some of your ideas and hear what they have to say and their own stories and how do they storytell. And you kind of figure out your own style by how many people you talk to and the conversations that you're going after. I think that's kind of one of those small hidden elements of becoming a great writer, is fielding your idea to all people around and then kind of gathering those ideas and then writing. My next tip is something that people struggle with so much, which is writer's block. And I just want to say that perfectionism does not exist. So don't strive for it. It's not about writing a perfect piece of work every day. It's just about writing every day. You write because you're a writer. You don't write because you're perfect. You don't write to become rich and famous. I mean, maybe that's your purpose, but at the same time, at its core, you write because you're a writer. And I think having the courage to have a crappy first draft is all that it takes. Every single piece of work that you write is not going to be absolutely perfect, but having the courage to spend hours or even a few minutes a day writing something out and then going back and revising is okay. There's this phrase that says like, write while drunk and then revise with seriousness. You know what I mean? So just whatever comes to mind, whether it may seem like a silly idea or whatever it may be, you may start something and then not even get back to it. But sometimes these ideas are great roots for something in the future. You can just write down 5 minutes of a paragraph and then 2 years later, it may inspire you to write a full story. That story has happened so many times to famous writers all around the world that they just had a random quote or an idea that they jotted down one day, and then a few years later they needed that to be the foundation of something big and incredible that they were working on. So I encourage you to just write endlessly without any limitations, without feeling any pressure of needing it to be the greatest version ever, because perfectionism doesn't exist. So I encourage you to just be free, relax, write with joy, with ambition, without excuses or limitations. I know that you can do it. And my last and final tip is that motivation will come and go. So hold on and remember to your why, because when motivation is gone, your why is what will keep you steady and will keep you pushing forward. Think about why it is that you clicked on this video. Why do you want to become a writer? Why do you want to become a better writer? Keep that idea in mind. You can write it down and stick it on your wall as motivation or something to look at each day just to hold on, because there are going to be days where you're amped up and motivated to go ahead and wake up and write and crank it out. And there's some days where life happens, life gets in the way, and there's going to be things that stop you and limit you, and you're not going to feel like it, and you're going to just want to lay down and watch Netflix or push it off to the next day. But I encourage you to always have that with you, because writers write every day, and that is the key difference between a professional writer and a novice, and we want to be professionals out here. I would hope. But I hope that you really enjoyed my video. I really hope that it inspired you, that you got something as a takeaway from it. I hope that you go out and write. Leave a comment below of your Medium account so I can go ahead and read some of your work. I'd love to give you some claps. If you're interested in anything that I've written, I usually make YouTube videos on what I've written, but also if you just want to read just to read, I'll leave my information below. If you're new, welcome. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. That really helps to just support me in the creation of these videos. But without further ado, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.